Hey everybody, back again working on the Cadillac on the LS swap. We're going to do a number of different things. We're working on trying to figure out where the ECM goes. We got a fuel tank and sender unit to work on. Trying to get some wiring, getting things, starting to dress the front of the engine up and get the accessories in place. We've left the accessories off while we're taking the engine in and out. So a number of different things coming today. Dan's been busy with fuel lines, and the fuel lines now are, he's pulled out all the steel lines, and he's got he has a feed and a return line to run from the back of the car now to the front. And we've got extra line here, but as we go, he's got some clips to be able to fasten the lines down in the right place. And we'll get them routed up into the injection system. We have the fuel tank here in the box, and it's a fuel tank and some new straps to support it.
Sending unit.
We have a new sending unit to install, and a new fuel pump.
There it is.
Which one was that? You got a Walbro?
Yeah, this is a Walbro 255.
Okay. And so I'm not sure which ones we'll all do today. That's what's kind of on our on-deck schedule, and we're going to start digging in here.
Here's the two fuel tanks. Old looking one came off the 87 Brougham, and that one was ordered for a 90 to 92 Brougham with the fuel injected 5.7. So differences between them. This one is set up for a carburetor, so it's got a single baffle in the tank to keep the fuel from moving around, but that's really about it for keeping the fuel from moving. Then on this new one, there's a bowl in there, if I can get it to light up, that will keep the fuel from moving around and keep it where the fuel pump is. It also has a baffle. I don't know if I can show it, but there is a baffle wall in there. Then we've got the sending units here. This one just has two wires for the sending unit information, tell you how much fuel you have. Then on the new one, it has four wires, two for the fuel pump and then two for the sending unit information. Then we have the fuel pump there that we're going to mount onto the hanger. We did a mock-up and it looks like it'll work good, so we just need to get the wires hooked up on it, make sure it's secured, but it looks like that'll work for us.
Okay, so we've got a Walbro 255 liter pump and a new sending unit. This was a Dorman fuel injector sending unit for a 1990.
It's for a Brougham.
For a Brougham.
So it's a
okay.
90 to 92.
90 to 92 Brougham. Because we're going from a carbureted engine that didn't have a fuel pump to putting in a fuel injected engine that needs 58 psi, and so we're switching to a fuel tank that's designed for a fuel pump, for an electric fuel pump, and then a new sending unit that has all the provisions to do that. Now the Walbro has a different connector than the factory GM connector, so we're going to clip that about in here and strip it and set the wire up, and then we've got some butt connector, crimp connectors that we're going to use to make that connection.
Out here, you think?
Yeah, it's probably a good spot. We've been looking at power consumption, and based on what we were able to find, it looks like this pump will pull 9 or 10 amps. Most of the wire, we have to run the wire to the back. We've checked, and we're wiring the car with number 14 from the front to the back until we get to this connector, and I'm not sure what those wires are. I think they're probably number 16. So we'll have like number 16 for 18 inches, and the rest of it will be 14, which ought to make things work.
You said this was 16?
Looked
gauge?
like it. Yeah, it's, I'm assuming it to be.
All right.
See if that works.
Yep.
Okay.
Go a little bit less out there. There we go. And this we'll just have to figure out where we want to cut this one.
Yeah, and we probably don't need a ton of extra wire because otherwise you'll have to wrap it around.
Let's see, where did I put the this one? Kind of gauge how much was there.
Oh, that's a good way to go at it.
I'll do a little extra.
That's fine.
Go about here. Okay.
Yeah, and you don't want them too long, so
About there.
yeah, probably right.
All right.
Okay, then we gotta find the butt splices, right? So we got some butt splices for 14 to 16 that are specified to be good for gasoline.
So to do this, does this one have to be in there when I crimp?
You should be able to do one end and then come back and do
Okay.
the other end as long as you got the length in about the right spot. I would,
Got it. About like that.
because if you, let me go one more thing. Because if you go like halfway, see it does even got a mark there, right?
Got it.
So if you don't go beyond there, you should be good.
Okay.
In fact, it feels like it's got to stop.
Yeah.
Sometimes crimps connectors do and some don't. So
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's just kind of rotate a little bit.
Yep.
There we go.
yes, I was gonna. No, don't.
Should I do the black one?
Just hang
I'll
on
come
for a
back to
second.
that. I think I can sneak it in there and re-crimp it.
No, I don't think so. All right, so we got her crimped in. We had one come apart and had to replace the splice, so one's about a 1/4 inch shorter, but actually lines up pretty good for making her go. All right, we're gonna heat shrink those guys.
How's it looking?
I think you're getting pretty close.
Should I flip it and do the other side?
You could. Let's just make sure that they're.
Torch in the box.
I think you're doing pretty good. I think you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks good. All right. So we could have used butt splices that were open. I mean, these connections to the pump are not sealed. The electrical is actually open into the gasoline. But being that we were doing butt splices, I thought the having the shrink on the ends would help stabilize it and make it from vibration and so forth, more than just crimping them. So we've got the insulator put in the bottom. Now this pump doesn't fit exactly properly on the insulator, but it's there to keep from getting vibration from the pump into the metal and being noisy. So we're going to use it as best we can. We got a couple of these clamps, and we're going to put them up to the top. To put this on, I'm going to use a little bit of dish soap and water so that it slides, because otherwise that rubber's pretty tough. And in my past experience, I've used that a lot, like in assembly plants for putting on hoses, because once the dish soap dries, it stays put. It doesn't want to move.
Now it's slippery.
Yep, yeah, will be, which is good. That's the slippery inside and out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That was always our go-to in assembly plants for when you needed to lubricate things going together.
So we probably have to push it up a little bit more, or can I hook it to the side a little bit?
Maybe to the side a little bit. Then you don't have to lift it quite as far.
Yep. Almost there.
Okay, and pull her back down, right?
Yep. It's going to be right about there. We might have to adjust it a little bit, but
Okay. And you got enough room for your filter to go on?
Yep. It's got a little.
It's got a cap on it.
cap.
Okay.
Yep. We'll have to get that off.
Get the cap off. All right.
But yes. And then we got the
Got two clamps.
clamps.
And for right this minute, we can't put the clamps on because we need to. We need the right tool to crimp them. Can you get them over the hose though? Or is that a problem?
There we go.
Okay, one down there. That one you don't have to move so far.
Yep. And we'll probably go about there.
Yep, that's probably about right. Yeah. And you can turn it a little. Now, is it, I would say is make sure you have enough, if you need to push the hose this, make sure the pump is all the way down as far as you want it, so that the hose is, before it dries, so that,
Gotcha.
and maybe it is, I just want to, it's just a double check.
Feels like it is, yeah.
So it doesn't want to come up and out, right? It's not going anywhere. I think that's the answer. Go ahead and just kind of give it a jiggle it, wiggle it a little. Yeah, it's not coming off, right?
It's staying.
It's staying, okay. And then your wires reach. That go okay?
Should I go, does it matter which way it goes?
Yeah, it should only clip one direction. There you go. I heard it click. All right. And it's out of the way of your sending unit,
Yep.
which is a little fragile, so we gotta just be careful with that. But all right, that's looking good. All right. I know we still need to crimp those, but did you want to test fit it to your tank, or
We can, yeah.
we'll save that for later?
We could do it today.
Something we haven't put on yet that we don't want to forget is the fuel pump has this filter. It's a little different than the old school sock, but it goes on the pump inlet, And before we bolt it in for the last time, we got to make sure that gets installed. And then we're going to hold on to this old connector just in case for some reason we decided to go back to a stock pump at some point. That would go to a GM replacement pump. So that's the part number Dorman tank that we've got for this job. That 576-371.
You want that? That's the sending unit.
And that was the sending unit that we're working with. And the biggest difference on this is that if you look down in the new tank, down here there's a piece of sheet metal on the bottom that forms a well that holds fuel close to the fuel pump. And the standard tank doesn't have that. Perfect. And if you can look down in this very center, there's a hole, and that, I'll call it dish, fills apparently from the bottom, and very slowly, but keeps a fuel supply around the pump. Alright, so yeah, that's the back of the tank, because that's where the filler neck is. So yeah, you got to sneak it in. And then the lines, yes, ought to go off the front.
So it dropped right in.
Yep. And it should only go one direction.
Yeah, it's got it notched here and there.
And then, yeah, you'll need to put the O-ring underneath it.
Yep.
And put the steel ring on top of it and drive it and lock it down. So then you got three lines. Let's see, the big one should be your feed. We'll have to kind of double check. I think that's going to be feed and return and vapor.
Yep. Because I remember the ones with the rib towards the end. This was send, return, and then the
For the
vapor
purge system.
Yeah, was different.
Okay. And I would say is once you put that in and we get it locked down, I would put the meter on, figure out which terminals go to the sending unit. And I would flip it upside down and make sure the sending unit is free and measures a full tank, and then flip it back over and make sure it measures empty. A lot better to find it now than later.
Right.
But in case I'm not here when you do that. And then in your original tank, you just had the sending unit. And so
I can actually grab it.
Okay. So you bought the whole kit. What does that look like? An 801-600 Dorman, huh? With all the different fuel line connectors.
And the tool to press them.
And the tool. Okay. Super.
There's the other one.
Alright, so that's how they lock on, and then the nylon lines that we were showing a little bit ago go on here and crimp.
Yep. Yeah, there's O-rings in here. You can feel it when you push them on, that they seal on the metal tube.
Okay. Excellent. And then there's O-rings sealing the tube to the fitting.
Yep.
See, I haven't worked with these fittings before. That's kind of a new thing. But they look pretty nice.
Yes. Lots of fittings too.
Yeah. Yeah, super. You even got some brass ones in there. That'll help a bunch. Okay, good. Okay, so the original one had 3 wires. Oh, but
they only used 2.
But they only used 2. It's only got 2 connections.
Yep.
All right. So the 2 connections ran to the old sending unit, which is all rusty crusty. That's what we're replacing. So, yeah, the return doesn't go all the way to the bottom in this one.
Just shoots out from the top.
Yep.
Vapor.
All right, very good. So on this one, you've got a Weatherpack kit so that you can run. You're going to need a new 4-pin connector on the car end. Well, that one was 3, so you've got 2 wires. So you'll have to pull the wires for the sending unit out of the car's current harness, and then you're going to run a ground for the pump.
Yep.
And one of these is power that'll go all the way to the front of the car to your relay block.
Yep.
Okay, good deal.
Here's the rough routing of the fuel lines. Have 45-degree connectors on the rail, and it's going to go up and over brake booster. Kind of hard to see. Goes down the side of the fender. There you go. Goes down inside the fender, and then I will show you what it looks like underneath the car. So under the car here, driver's side, fuel lines come out of the fender, and then they go into the into the frame rail. The plan is to put some grommet material around here so the lines don't wear through. Right around here. But then they run through the frame rail, back, and I'll show you from the other side so you can see where they're actually sitting in there. I also plan to trim out some of this fender liner just so it's not rubbing on there. Open it up a little bit right where the lines come through. Alright, so we're up under the car now, showing where the fuel lines are. This is right under the driver's side door going into the rear driver's side door. And if I can zoom without losing the light, they come out of there, but they're completely enclosed in the frame rail there. And once I get them tied down, they'll be sitting low in there. Right now they're kind of sitting up high, they're kind of hidden, but they're in there. And then coming back this way, this is just rough routing, so they're not tied to the frame, but I'll tie it in there. And then up in the back, right now it's just kind of hanging in the air, but it'll tie up in there where the old factory mounts were for other lines. And it goes up and over to where the fuel tank will sit. Got a bunch of extra line, didn't cut anything yet. I've got to figure out exactly where I'm going to put the fuel filter down here. Just need to find a good spot to mount it. And we also need to finish our brake line project. Got a brake line hanging there, but that'll come later. One thing to mention while I'm down here, we actually flipped the side of the car that the fuel lines ran on. When I pulled them all out, they were on the passenger side, tied in here, went up through that frame rail. But on the LS, the fuel rail is on the opposite side. So instead of taking them up the passenger side and trying to get over in the engine compartment, we are just taking the place of, I believe the evap line was on this side. So there are some tie downs along that. I may try to use those holes with the new clamps to hold these lines in place. But all the fuel lines are going to run driver's side to hit the fuel rail in the engine compartment.